Want to fight about it?
All right, folks, we are back. Got another fun interview lined up for you tonight. Obviously, the Pat Miletich interview should be airing in about 10 minutes or so. So when you catch us recorded, it should be a little bit after that. We're going to be joined by BKFC fighter Cody Jenkins. Gonna be a fun one, folks. You know how we kick things off, so let's get to it.
Fighting out of the red corner.
Cody is here. We're gonna have some fun. First and foremost, Cody, appreciate the time that this afternoon. I know you guys are always running around, running yourselves ragged between life, training, and everything in between. So first off, appreciate the time tonight. How you feeling, man? You got the fight lined up here in a few weeks. How's training going? I guess we'll get the the I guess the two or three questions you always get asked leading up into a fight.
Well, first off, I appreciate you having me on as well. For sure, I appreciate the opportunity to get out here and to speak to everybody as much as I can, and kind of share my journey with everybody. As far as training, man, it's going good. We're 2 weeks out today, so 14 days, and we get to throw down. I'm always excited to fight. As far as the opponent, I feel like stylistically it's a pretty good fight for me. He likes to come forward. He's going to come forward hard, stay in a tight shell. But I think I'm going to box him up, man.
And that's always what it is. I mean, when we're talking about the BKFC world, obviously, it's one of the newer sports into the combat sports realm within the past 5 years or so. So you're still in a lot of these promotional phases, kind of building up rosters, finding out who the fighters are. In some cases we find out who the fighters aren't. It really does, man. I say this a lot on here, but it takes a special type of fighter to be a bare knuckle fighter. I mean, some guys can box, some guys can do well in MMA, but I think it really does take a different type of athlete, man, woman, however you want to phrase that sentence, but it takes someone a little bit different to be in bare knuckle.
For sure, I definitely would agree with that, man. The whole thing's different down to, I mean, not only are you fighting bare knuckle, and that alone gets a lot of guys, but the whole thing from the starting on the scratch line, you're toe to toe, man. You ain't coming out of a corner and got the little glove touch and a little step back. No, you got to come, and it's the 2-minute rounds make for exciting fights. I mean, you could have a firefight the whole 2-minute round, So it's like, yeah, I mean, you got to be built a little different.
Yeah, it definitely does take a special athlete, a special man, a special woman to compete in bare knuckle and even at the top levels. As we're looking at your promotion, Christina Freire is without a doubt the baddest woman in BKFC at this moment. No one has tested her. She hasn't lost since the infancy stages of the sport. Do you think anyone's ever going to catch her, man, or is it just it's what we say about like some of these other athletes? It's just Father Time's going to catch them.
Yeah, I think right now it's just her time, man. I think she's going to be hard to beat for it's her time. We shall see. That's why fight sports is the best sport out there, man. Because anything can happen, So.
Yeah, it is a special one, and we're talking about like the growth and what we see in the sport. I got to ask you this one because as your former promotional champions jumping ship, going back to bare knuckle MMA, and he's getting in there with Roy Country Nelson. Obviously, Alan Belcher's a combat sport veteran legend, however you want to call it. He was in the UFC before Zuffa really kind of blew up. Took his time away from the sport. Went on a nice little run there the last few years in BKFC with the controversial win over Arnold Adams, and then it looked like it became more of a contract dispute. Ben Rothwell gets thrown in the mix. He was demanding a new weight class for the championship. Obviously, Arnold still wanted to run it back. There was a lot of questions going on. He was supposed to fight Asim Rahman Jr. in a boxing match that never developed, but now we got this one. What are your thoughts on what happened with the BKFC heavyweight division and Alan Belcher? You feel like it? He's belt hunting at this point in time. Trying to find his own legacy as he gets to the end of his sport, or do you feel like it? Between Ben and the money situation and Alan,
Right.
there was a little discord, and
To be enough about it to try to speak on it, I feel like he's gonna do what he feels like is best for him, and he's earned that. You know what I'm saying? So more power to him, bro. You know what I mean? I wish him all the best. As far as I'm worried about my fight, my career. But nah, I don't know enough about it to try to speak on it. I wouldn't.
Oh yeah. I was just sitting there, outside looking in, like I mean, obviously it's a weird situation. You don't often see a guy go on a run like that, win a belt in fashion, and just walk away.
Right.
It's one of those things. You know what I mean?
It is. It's kind of wild. You don't see it very often, but like you said, I mean, I'm sure there's some back. Some.
I mean, I've interviewed him a few times. I feel like he's in a situation now. Like he's like, okay, I've won this belt. Let me go and see what legacy I can go out and get for myself. Because when we boil it all down to it, when we're talking about combat sports, isn't it? It's all really about. It's about the belts. It's about the legacy, right?
For sure, man. And most of the time, it's just like your journey. You know what I mean? Wherever you're leading, that's what it is for me. You know what I'm saying? It's what I love to do, and it's taking me to some crazy places, man. You know what I'm saying? So,
when it comes to the combat sports athlete, you guys definitely it's your journey. It's yours to take. It's yours to forge, etc. I mean, that's kind of where I feel what Alan's doing. I'm really excited for that fight, just because. When Alan first, stepped on the combat sports scene, UFC middleweight, we get him in BKFC. He's a heavyweight. Now he's going over to Gamebred, and he's going to be fighting arguably one of the best power punchers in combat sports over the past 10, 15 years in Roy Nelson. That should be a fun fight.
Sure, it's always exciting. It's going to make people tune in. You know what I mean? That's what you want as a fight fan, as a fighter, as somebody that enjoys the sport. That's what you want. So for sure, them guys they're going to put on.
It's going to be a fun fight. Wish Alan the best in Gamebred. Hopefully, we can get him back on here again and pick his brain and see what transpired and what got him out of BKFC and then Bernard. I don't think him and Dave have any bad blood or anything like that. It's just an interesting thing. Like obviously everyone knows what happened with Francis Ngannou when he just left. Everyone knows what happened with Nate Diaz when he left.
Right.
We don't know what's happening here. Like everyone's like it's like one of those like if you ask about it, you're gonna get shots out of things. You know what I mean? It's like no one wants to ask about this.
Hopefully you'll be able to get him on and he can answer all the questions.
Well, I'll get it out of him. Yeah. I always like to have fun with everyone, and listen, it's all about telling your guy's story, getting some of the questions like that obviously that we want to talk about, right? Now your fight, obviously you're fighting one of the new kids in there, trying to get that first big win. Do you ever feel like there's an over amount of pressure to kind of get the ball rolling, get on a win streak and start stacking wins together as a athlete in this sport?
I mean, there for sure is. I understand the reality of that. But again, I know the journey I've been on and I know what I can do. I know that, I went in there and competed with Keith on 2 days notice on my worst night I could have ever had and did well compared to some other, you know what I mean? And so I know where I'm at. I know like on my good nights, I can throw down with anybody in the world. So that's what I'm focused on, and going in there and proving that is just another thing. You know what I'm saying? So I'm for sure excited to be able to have another opportunity to do so and ready to get on a roll.
Now, obviously, like I said, this sport is just like kind of still in its growing infancy stages. We're kind of getting its feet running for the first few times, and obviously we're within the first 10 years of the sport. If you have your saying things, where would you like to see bare knuckle be in 5 years and 10 years, just as an athlete side of it, not from the promoter side of it, and making millions of dollars, thousands of millions of televisions across like that. That's something the promoters want to hear. What would you like to see? Like we talk about a lot of things. Athletes care about money. We care about the fame. We care about wanting each other, being able to go home to their family after everything's said and done too. That's something that doesn't get talked about a lot too. What would you like to see this sport do in 5 years?
Yeah, man, I think it's going to continue to grow, and I for sure want to see that as well, and just get as big as it can possibly get, and hopefully I'm there along for that ride. But yeah, man, I think it's going to continue to have the growth that it's already had. I mean, it's became huge in a very short amount of time. People they wouldn't even know what it was, a couple years ago when you talked about it. It's like, and now you got guys going to tryouts. I mean, almost every couple months, so it's like it's growing. And I hope that it continues to do that. And like I said, I hope I'm along for the ride, man.
I mean, it's fun. I had the pleasure of covering, Dave's promotion, MMA promotion here up in the tri-state area before he launched BKFC. So, I remember him sitting there saying, "Man, watch this. This is going to take off if I ever get this going." Here we are. 6-7 years later, he's got to go now. You know what I mean? He has a unique blend of both. People who are new, finding out the sport is and getting in there, and he has that innate ability to go get that former UFC fighter, that former Bellator fighter, etc., to come in and put on a performance. He's got platinum Mike Perry. He's got. I mean, I still sit there saying it's a matter of Conor McGregor is gonna fight out his contract with the UFC, and he is going to be his own, so to speak, within the next 3 years. That's my guess. And BKFC is one of the destinations.
Hey, Conor don't want to fight no more, man. He don't want to fight, bro.
See, there's the other side of it, because I do feel like he put in all that work to grow there, to get there. He built bridges. He millions. He broke records. He did all this stuff. But sometimes when you do all that, you're exhausted from it, and you don't want to put the work in to do what you do. I think he got to a point right, but I don't think when he was doing like the Khabib fight or I don't think he wasn't training, but I just think. Right. These guys had grown to other levels, where Conor was still at that same level was when he ascended. You know what I mean? Yeah. When we talk about top flight MMA fighters nowadays, we talk about they have 4, 5, 6 different tools in their tool belt. But when we talk about, like I like to say, when we talk about GOATs and legends and things like that, when we look at what the sport was in the past 10 years, we're talking about specialists, guys or girls who were good at one or two different disciplines. When we're looking at some of these fighters coming up now, that's a well-rounded fighter, making their pro debut. Their jiu-jitsu is crazy. Their judo's on another level. What today's athlete has compared to what yesterday's athlete has, compared to accessibility to be able to promote yourself, to get to these bigger promotions. Right. The better athlete, the better training environments. I really think fans are really going to enjoy the next 10, 15 years of this sport, regardless if we're talking about the MMA side of it, the boxing side of it, the bare knuckle boxing side of it. I always lump them all in together because you're all together. Sure. Same thing with wrestling too.
All grown so much, man. As a guy that's been in, I started competing in MMA when I was 17. So 2010, man, I had my first fight. And even then I can remember it was nothing compared to it is now. Most of your amateur fights, I was fighting a homie from the backyard that thought
dudes are just like, I'm tough, I could do this. Oh man. And then you go in there a handful of times, he's like, nah, I can't do this.
Right. Very little of serious dudes training. Now it's kids are training from the time they're 5 years old to be MMA fighters instead of just hopping in the gym. You know what I mean? So it's crazy. Like you said, it's evolved so much, bro. Awesome though, So
yeah, what I like is just like it's not just one area. Like everyone's talking about, oh, the Dagestan fighters. Yeah, those are the guys that have been sitting there, like you're talking about. They've been sitting there in the gym since they were 5 years old. So of course the Dagestan fighters are great. They're well rounded. I just think it's a matter of time before we see that across the board.
For sure.
With American fighters, obviously, most of your Americans that are going to be great are going to be coming from that catch wrestling, that wrestling background, and things of that nature. That's what it's always going to be. But the difference is now is that these people are going to be have more access to judo, jujitsu, to the the striking aspect of it, knowing that like, hey, when I get done my chances to be an Olympic wrestler or whatever, I still have to get ready to do this because this is what's going to make me millionaires, famous, whatever. That's look like everyone has, at least the combat sport athlete has kind of a game plan, right? When it comes to building the brand that you are of, because that's what it is now. When you're a fighter, you're building your own brand.
Yep, for sure, man. And I mean, like I said, it's awesome to see everywhere. I'm with it all. I love combat sports as a whole. So I love seeing it all grow.
It's always fun. It's always interesting. Now we got all kinds of crazy fights going on over the next few weeks and months and stuff like that. And we were just talking, including yours, but obviously a little bit bigger. Tyson Fury back out of retirement again.
But that's
fighting the pound for pound. Biggest free agent signing in probably MMA history in Francis Ngannou. Leaves UFC, vacates the title, and then here we are.
Oh yeah.
So when you look at this, do you obviously we've seen all the footage and all the clip notes. Mike Tyson's been training him, Francis Ngannou, and doing all this stuff. Do you feel, is there anything that Mike's going to show Francis that's going to catch him up to the years that Tyson Fury is ahead of him?
Bro, there's nothing. There's Francis Ngannou's right hand. That's it. Like he could possibly land that shot, but other than that, bro.
But here's the other thing, right? Like, Cody, here's the other thing. Can you put him away with it?
Right.
Because we've seen him take big shots from legit top flight heavyweights and get up and come back and win fights.
100%. But I got to think Francis got one in him somewhere that could lights out. You know what I'm saying? But other than that, bro, he's gonna get a lesson.
Yeah, I mean, Tyson Fury's like, listen, man, he, multiple champions, multiple runs. I mean, he's been down to the bottom of the barrel and back up again, fought through depression, came back, won a title, beat Joshua. Like he literally doesn't have anything to prove with this fight, but I'm sure someone dangled that cherry in front of him and told him, like, get bipolar butt off the couch and let's see if you can knock out the greatest MMA fighter in their heavyweight division at this time, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm sure obviously there's a lot of money involved, but also there's that, Tyson Fury, he's a fighter, bro. So like it's interesting for him. He's like, all right, let me give this guy a try. It's a different style, different beast. You know what I mean? To take on. It's like, yeah, we all know he's probably gonna teach him a lesson in boxing, but to Tyson Fury, it's something new. Something, to get ready.
I mean, this isn't something we haven't seen before. Obviously, we've seen what happened on the other side of that foot, in UFC years ago when Randy Couture fought James Toney. I think it was UFC 109 in Boston.
Exactly.
And he toe tripped him. Got Tony down. Tony never even got to throw a serious punch at him. Randy got on top of him, beat him down.
For sure. And that's going to happen.
That's going to be the opposite effect of it this time. The question is Tyson going to play with his food and leave opportunities for Francis to hurt him, put him away, etc., or is he just going to teach him a good old fashioned boxing lesson?
Yeah, no, I don't think Tyson's going to do that. I think he's going to come in and do what he always does, man. I don't think he's going to like play with Francis at all. It's too much riding on him, man. You can't play with the beast like that. You got to put him away when you can. So I think Tyson's going to for sure come in and take care of business.
Yeah, I mean, I do too. I love Francis. I love that who he's working with, everything he stands for, everything that he has done for himself in his MMA career, his UFC career from here till now. I love him, but dude. We're still talking about the sweet science, man. There's just there's you're not gonna pick up in a year's time, in 6 months, in 3 months, regardless of you have Mike Tyson, Freddie Roach, and freaking Customato resurrected from the dead. Those guys cannot teach you in that period of time what it's gonna take to catch up to him.
No,
Will it be able to nullify him? Will it be able to keep him upright? I believe so. Yeah, I don't think Tyson's going to put him away. I think he's gonna absolutely crush him on points and take him to the cards and take his paycheck and go
home. That's my thoughts, man. But we shall see, I guess.
Now, as we're talking about legends and stuff like this, what I like to ask all my guests is everyone likes to throw around goats and who's the best this, who's the best that. I still sit there and say it's impossible to do as we talk about combat sports, even if you're just saying MMA or boxing or whatever. But because there's so many different eras, different weight classes, men, women, there's so many different things to sit there. You can't say this one fighter's a goat.
Right.
So what I like to sit there and throw upon everybody is the Mount Rushmore equation. So if you're able to put a Mount Rushmore together of your greatest combat sport, boxers, MMA fighters, etc., and you're resurrecting a statue and in recognition of them, who are the 4 people you're enshrining?
So mine are probably gonna be all MMA guys, man. Because until I got into bare knuckle, man, I was all MMA. You know what I'm saying? So, but up there, man, you'd have to have John Jones. You got to put him on there. I know all the controversies with him and everything, but
we'll get back to John in a second. We'll go over that one in a second, though.
Anderson is up there for me just because, man, like during my time when I was watching the UFC a lot, bro, he was just the man, dog. He was not. I mean, he was making dudes look like amateurs, bro. The next best in the world.
Yo, all right, let me tell you something about Anderson. I was at UFC 101. I was at there. Yeah. Did not believe that was a correct stoppage until I got home and watched the footage again. Okay.
Right.
I'm like, they stopped that too. Like, Forrest wasn't out yet. Forrest too tough for that. He wasn't out. After that point on, Anderson Silva just like walked on water, man. Like, just some of the fights he did, some of the stuff he did. I mean, it was great the stuff he had with Chael and stuff like that. But like you said, man, he was just at a point in time where you couldn't touch him. You couldn't touch him, and it got to the point. And what he did changed a lot of things in how the sport's promoted, how guys go about things. Like he chipped a little bit off of everybody, and even though at that time when we talk about like it was the growing part of the sports, Anderson Silva was a non-American speaking Brazilian champion who was probably the biggest rock star in MMA at that time, outside of Chuck Liddell. Chuck Liddell's run didn't last quite long enough or as dominant.
Sure.
And Anderson Silva just took all advantage of that.
Oh, yeah. Bro, I mean, like I said, I had a lot of fun watching him fight. You know what I mean? So
I'm the same with you. Your last two, brother. What do you got?
I got GSP up there. You got to put him up there, in my opinion. I mean, I believe he could come back now, bro, and possibly win a fight title. I mean, he's just like, bro, his athletic ability, and then you couple that with his fucking mind. Like, the dude's smart as shit, bro, for the sport. I've heard, seen a lot of him. He's got to be up there for me. And then the last side is tough, man. But for me, personally, I'm gonna say Conor because of MMA as a whole and what he did for the sport. And during his reign, bro, like he's up there, so
definitely one of my fun. Like, listen, John's on my list, Anderson's on my list, George is up there, but like my last one, I like to, I like to get some of the lighter weight guys in there because they never get the love that they should. People tend to forget about them a lot, and Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson does not get enough credit. Does not.
That's true. This is true. I'll give you that.
And like I could go along the women's side of it all on itself, just because it's it deserves its own category when we're talking about something, at least in this subject, to me.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean that's a good one, DJ. I'll give you that, man. That's a good
He don't, man. Like, dude, he literally created a move in cage.
one.
He created a submission in cage. Stop playing with me, people. And not to mention, like, he never lost the belt. He was traded away. And then here we go. So we got a technical difficulty here. Let me give Cody a second to get back in here and get a quick word from our sponsor.
Just Blazed Clothing Company. We are the premier clothing and lifestyle brand for the cannabis enthusiast. Premier clothing, cannabis accessories, with a South Beach flair. Go online today and check out all our great products at justblazedclothingcompany.com. Use the promo code FIGHT at checkout and get 10% off your purchase.
All right, folks, make sure you use that promo code FIGHT for any of your purposes for Just Blaze Clothing. I'm going to give Cody a second here to see if I can get him back on here. The technical world loves us oh so much. Give him a minute or so. I guess real quick, let's hit the other. All right, folks. Well, obviously the technical difficulties is going to put an end to tonight's episode. Hopefully we can get Cody back on after his fight and finish up the rest of our interview. Other than that, this should put a wrap on tonight's broadcast. Obviously, we got the Pat Miletich interview that has already happened. Cody will be coming on here later on, and that should put an end to that one. So other than that, folks, we will catch you guys same time, same place, same channel. And peace out.